The night falls. Brynn, the main character, heads to her lonely bedroom. The girl falls asleep peacefully, unaware of the lights in the house turning on and off by themselves. A strange sound from the street awakens Brynn. She tries to peer out the window to see who is making the noise, but seeing no one, she goes downstairs and discovers that there is no electricity. Moreover, the front door is open. This truly frightens her, and then very unusual sounds come from below. After which, something rushes through the first floor of the house, frightening Brynn even more. Brynn decides to return to the bedroom, but the steps of the old staircase creak under her feet, attracting the unknown creature. Shocked, Brynn takes off her slippers and freezes in place, then starts to back away. However, the creature notices her, and realizing this, Brynn runs to her bedroom, and we see the thing's silly bald head coming up the stairs. She tries to find something that can serve as a weapon, pulls a suitcase from under the bed, and freezes in horror at the accidental noise. Immediately, the fast footsteps of the creature from the corridor are heard, reaching her bedroom and opening the doors. Brynn hides behind the bed, listening to the inhuman sounds in the room. The alien inspects the room and suddenly jumps on the bed, under which Brynn is hiding. Not finding the girl, the puzzled alien jumps to the floor. Brynn, in horror, sees the alien's paws right in front of her. After standing for a couple of minutes and making alien, eerie sounds, the alien jumps out the window. The frightened girl tries to catch a glimpse of her uninvited guest, but there's no one on the lawn. Armed with a curling iron, Brynn goes downstairs and slams the front door. But then, all the electronic appliances in the house turn on simultaneously. The girl turns off the player and the glowing toys on the table and realizes that someone is in the house. She goes to the phone, but there's no signal. Suddenly, the refrigerator doors start to open by themselves, scaring Brynn. She screams and runs towards the stairs, but a terrifying alien with long legs comes down the stairs. The girl squeezes into the gap between the table and the refrigerator. Suddenly, everything goes quiet. Brynn catches her breath and tries to see the telephone receiver, which is grabbed by an inhuman hand. Brynn screams, and the refrigerator door swings open, hiding the alien behind it. Terrifying long hands grab the door, and the alien's face appears over it. Brynn pushes the door and runs to the stairs. Electricity flickers throughout the house, and an inhuman howl is heard behind her as she crashes into the railings and falls to the floor. Brynn crawls into the room, but the table in front of her overturns. Suddenly, something lifts her into the air, and she finds herself face to face with her pursuer, striking it with a toy fragment in the temple. The alien falls dead, and Brynn crawls away in horror. She sits in a daze until morning, but the sun rises and the girl feels encouraged. She feels pain in her wounded legs and removes the glass shards she stepped on during the night. The alien lies dead on the floor, and Brynn covers it with a blanket to avoid seeing the terrifying sight. The girl tries to call 911, but the phone is silent. There's also no electricity. She goes outside, but her car won't start. Then, Brynn returns home and takes a shower, washing off the blood. She gets herself together and heads to town for help. On the way, she sees an overturned mail van and, finding no one inside, tries to ask for help from the residents of the neighboring house. But she also sees scorched circles on their lawn and passes them by. Soon, Brynn reaches the town, but upon entering the police station, she bumps into the police chief and his wife, who suddenly spits in Brynn's face, and no police officers rush to her aid. A distressed Brynn recalls how just yesterday morning she woke up in a wonderful mood, despite leading a secluded life on the outskirts of Mill River town. Brynn tried not to despair. She made toy houses, sewed new outfits for herself, took care of the lawn where strange circles had appeared the day before, and although after one past incident, the townspeople did not communicate with her, Brynn was free to come to town, send parcels, and visit her mother's grave. Just the day before, Before having returned home, she wrote another letter to her best friend Maud, telling her that she had seen her parents. Then the postman came and brought her a long-awaited package, which she celebrated with a glass of wine and a delicious dinner, finishing the letter to Maud, begging her forgiveness, even though 10 years had passed. And now, today, no one is coming to her aid. The police pretend not to see her, and she leaves. She wanders around the town, trying to figure out what to do next, and suddenly sees a bus and does the only sensible thing. She leaves town. She finally feels safe and relaxes, when suddenly she hears bubbling sounds behind her and is attacked by the local postman, taken over by an alien. Brynn barely manages to fight him off and get out of the bus. She walks home and finds herself near the church. The girl hopes for help, but no one is inside. And then Brynn approaches Maud's grave, where it becomes clear that her friend lived for only 12 years. Clouds gather overhead. Brynn runs to her house and sees a group of townspeople on the neighboring plot, looking up at the sky, reaching out to the huge black clouds. It turns out the bodies of people have been taken over by aliens. Brynn finally reaches her home. The dead alien still lies in her hallway, but now it stinks terribly, and a wet line leads to the exit, as if something crawled out of its body and onto the street. Brynn tries to find this creature, but fails. Eventually, she gathers strength and gets to work. She lights candles all over the house, puts pots of water on the stove, finds everything that can serve as a weapon, and nails windows and doors shut from the inside. But suddenly, these nails start coming out by themselves. Bright light flares up outside the door. The alien's body rises into the air and floats out the door. Brynn hides and hears that someone has sneaked into the house. She sees an alien entering the door and tries to hide. She arms herself with scissors when the alien appears right in front of her. Brynn gets her hands on a photograph of her and Maud, which the alien snatches from Brynn and examines closely, while Brynn manages to escape to the kitchen. But there, another shorter and very malicious alien attacks her. Brynn fights it and in desperation bites its arm. It releases her and jumps aside, giving her a chance to reach the boiling pots. She pours boiling water over it, but the small malicious alien seems to get even angrier. Then, a ship's beam lights up outside the window, literally pulling Brynn's weapon, an iron ladle, towards it. She is left empty-handed in front of the alien, cautiously goes into the bathroom and locks the door. But it breaks through the door.
Here's Johnny.
And attacks her. Brynn grabs a mop, and after the alien breaks it, uses the stick as a spear, pinning the alien to the cupboard, after which she finally manages to escape. Brynn finds herself outside, where she sees another fallen alien, and, trying to hide, falls into the hands of the postman, who is no longer human. The man drags her by her hair to the alien saucer, from which suddenly a beam of light falls. But she pushes the postman, and he, getting caught in the beam, is pulled into the ship instead of Brynn, then falls to the earth and starts breaking apart. Brynn runs away, but a huge, spider-like alien chases after her. She tries to hide from it in a car, and waiting for it to crawl in after her, she gets out and sets the car on fire, killing the monster. For the first time, she feels something like satisfaction, as she is still managing to win. But from above, another beam falls, and the girl hides in the house. However, a new alien enters and stops by the wall with photographs. Brynn tries to attack him, but he easily throws her aside, straight through the damn wall. And then, outside the window, a beam activates that paralyzes the girl. During this time, the alien emits a parasite, which then enters Brynn's mouth. When she wakes up, she finds herself in her bed, with the sun shining outside, and her house looks completely normal. Brynn touches her face and suddenly realizes that it was all a dream. She laughs through tears when she hears children's laughter outside, and going downstairs, she sees her living friend, Maud. It's here that she understands that this is all just a fantasy, and she proceeds to pull the parasite out of her throat. The sun immediately disappears, and Brynn finds herself on the lawn in front of her house. The parasite runs away and gets caught in the beam of a spaceship. Brynn sees her own clone formed in the beam and runs into the woods, where she is forced to confront herself. The alien Brynn stabs the real Brynn with a knife, to which she responds by cutting the clone's throat with with a box cutter. But the girl's suffering does not end there, as she is caught in the tractor beam, and this time is lifted inside the alien spacecraft. Unable to move, she sees one of the aliens touching her forehead and viewing her memories, including how she built a city model with her deceased mother. But most importantly, it becomes clear why the townspeople avoided Brynn. It turns out that during a childhood argument, she accidentally hit Maud, the daughter of the police chief, and because she hit her with a rock to the head, the girl died. The aliens continue to watch as Brynn confronts her younger self, who is writing apology letters to her old friend. Adult Brynn places her hand on the girl's, finally acknowledging her childhood trauma, and it seems she is now ready to move on. The aliens understand this and release her. She comes to her senses on the lawn near her house and realizes that she no longer fears the childhood psychological trauma that has haunted her for many years. The next day, a dressed up Brynn goes to town, and it becomes clear that the aliens have placed parasites in all the people on the planet. Now, people think they are living in paradise, not realizing that in the real world, Earth has been invaded by aliens, and the apocalypse has occurred. In the evening, Brynn looks happier than ever, dancing with the other townspeople. Now she is effectively in the ideal city, the model of which she built with her mother. People are joyful and happily dance, not looking up, where spaceships hover over the entire planet, suggesting that the invasion was successful. This is where the movie ends.